All right, assuming we are live, welcome to our first ever live stream. So far, everything has gone wrong technology-wise, but we're here to talk Skeleton Crew. It will get better. We'll have microphones and actual cameras. Like I said, technical difficulties. Anyway, I guess we'll just start with your general overall impression of the show.
Oh, wait, I didn't get to do my thing. Hold on.
She wants a soundboard, so we have to work on that.
Oh, whoops.
As you blow out everyone's ears. Yes, thank you.
There you go.
I did post we would be interrupted by animals, and they're already doing that, so that's nice. So Skeleton Crew, we got technically 2 episodes. I really think it was 1 episode. They weren't going to hit the episode count, so they cut off the last 20 minutes and made it a 2nd episode. But okay, yeah. What did you think of the story?
I liked it. I liked it so far. I don't know. I feel like it had a sense of whimsy that I look for in Star Wars, I would say.
Yeah, I do feel like some of the fun has been missing from some of the Star Wars projects.
I mean, I don't know about that. Just that this one has that sort of thing that I look for in Star Wars anyway, because I'm not going to Star Wars for like gritty realism, if that makes sense. So I kind of feel like, because, and I don't know like how your audience felt about Andor.
Most people love Andor. A lot of people say Andor is the best thing that Disney Star Wars has done.
I disagree, personally.
I disagree. No,
but also, to be fair, I'm not a Star Wars
I guess
person.
One thing we should do is back up. This is the first time you've been on a video or anything on this channel. My Star Wars background is a fan for life. I got into it when I was like 7 years old. Your Star Wars
background is, I don't know, what, 6 years ago? I watched the movies for the first time.
Yeah, so. And we went through the whole thing in... That's one of the cameras we were supposed to be using. We went through the whole thing in chronological order. And since then, you have watched the Clone Wars cartoon and the Rebels cartoon.
Yeah, but then, okay, so that's what I mean, is that, like, if I'm watching Star Wars, I'm, like, because on a personal note, I'm either, you know, I want what I'm watching to be, like, filled with whimsy and to be, like, happy, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a comedy, or then I'll go like to the opposite end of the spectrum and, you know, I'll watch something like Mindhunter or like Kill Bill is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I don't like, I'm not coming to Star Wars for, you know, like a gritty, sad drama. I don't know. I didn't care for Andor, but that's, you know, to each their own. You know?
Yeah, I do like Andor, and I do think it's very well crafted. I don't think it's the best thing Disney Star Wars has done because it doesn't have that sense of adventure or fun.
It doesn't have the sense of whimsy.
You could have like easily altered the script for it to not be Star Wars at all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree. But so far with this one, Skeleton Crew, I'm liking it because it feels like it has that thing that I like about Star Wars.
Yeah, that sense of adventure, the sense of discovery and fun.
If I'm gonna, you know, and for me too, like I loved The Mandalorian, and I'm not a Star Wars person, right? Like I loved The Mandalorian. That was, I think, probably, other than the originals, which are classics, probably the best thing they've done.
That one definitely felt like the classics, I think. I think it really captured that 70s kind of vibe. Also with doing a lot of practical effects and puppetry, like on Grogu, even though it's very advanced puppetry with animatronics, I think it captured the feel of it where him not moving perfect makes it better.
Yeah, it's almost like cuter, like he's a penguin.
Right. I also think that a lot of people in the same boat as you, where Mandalorian was kind of their way into. I know I have a few friends who
was kind of their introduction.
They were kind of aware of it, but they didn't really care until the Mandalorian. Then they're like, they're waiting for the next episode.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, now the movie. We actually do have someone watching, so welcome. I really like Skeleton Crew. My partners and I have already started discussing our impressions on our podcast, and they are also satisfied. The series is like a breath of fresh air. Yes, thank you. I totally agree.
I agree, yeah.
Pillar Hut. Sorry, we're leaning forward awkwardly. We had a nice setup here with the camera there, but it's the technology's been driving me crazy. But thanks for joining us. This is pretty awesome. So back to Skeleton Crew. Yeah, you founded the sense of adventure and fun.
Isn't the main character's name Wim?
It is Wim.
And I didn't do that on purpose, but it has whimsy.
Yeah, there's no H. He spells it different, but yeah, it's kind of on the nose with his name being Win. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, it has whimsy.
Well, do you want to talk about the characters then?
Okay.
Or do you want to go through the plot?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. So I have IMDb here just so I get the actors' names correct. Well, I had it. Dead air. We will iron all this out. Okay, so Wim is played by...
I was going to do my rap.
Ravi Cabot Conyers. I'm not going to know any of the names aside from like Jude Law and Nick Frost. I think he's doing a really good job.
The main...
Wim.
Wim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that he is kind of the audience's entrance because he wants to see the wider galaxy where everyone else seems kind of content with their weird shelter world. Mm-hmm. But I also like that, and I kind of had this impression before going into it. I did a video like leading up to it, and I'm sure I talked to you about all the aspects of it. I always figured Fern was going to be the actual group leader, and it seems like that is going to be the case. But I also feel like all the kids are kind of getting equal play. Mm-hmm. KB a little less so, the possible android girl.
Cyclops kind of looking kid.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only one who has any kind of augmentations, so we don't know if maybe she had like a birth defect and these things are overcoming it, but she seems very technologically advanced. I kind of had a theory. We rewatched it today, and I kind of was thinking like maybe this girl's an android and she's a plant best friend for Fern because Fern's mother is so high up in this government that I think there's going to be this big sense of control. Like it looks like a utopia. It's a dystopia.
Oh yeah, I definitely got that feeling also.
Yeah, and I don't think we're alone in that.
Yeah, definitely got that feeling too.
So Wim, Fern, who I think is doing a good job too. They're not going too hard with her being like, I'm the boss, I'm the leader. Like she's a little too intelligent for her age. I think she's kind of nailing it as well. I really think all the characters across the board. We were kind of laughing because a show with an all-kid cast, usually some of the acting's a little off. And you're like, well, they're kids. You can kind of let it slide. But the dad's the only one.
The dad's the one that he's
terrible.
like, what? He's like, Wim, my son, wait.
Waving at the giant ship like they don't see him.
Because I have acted 0 days in my life.
Yes,
obviously.
I'm stiff on this.
But yeah, and they also have him in like comically large glasses.
Yeah, I don't know what's with his look.
Weird.
Yeah,
it's like like when you go to like the photo booths at like parties and they have like the props.
Yeah, it does look.
Those
like
are like
glasses.
the glasses that he's wearing. But that's me just nitpicking and probably being rude.
Oh, geez. Pillar, definitely stay safe, please. Come back anytime, but definitely stay safe first. He's in the Ukraine.
Oh, yes, definitely.
He just said he would love to watch the stream, but the air of anxiety has to set, and he has to go to the shelter. Please stay safe.
Definitely.
That's crazy.
Wow.
We're thinking of you. So thanks for joining for the time you could, but take care of you and your family. Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that was alarming. Neil, how do you feel about Neil, the blue guy, elephant guy?
I like
cute kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that Neil's very much a normal kid.
I like that his name is Neil, and then like the other, he was like mentioning like the names of the other kids.
Yeah, it was like Jokul or something like that.
Jolo. Like,
yeah, they all had crazy names. His other 3 siblings, but he's just Neil because it's easy to say. I do like what they did with him. I'm always afraid when there's a clearly a comic relief character, they're going to go too hard on it, like Jar Jar, Phantom Menace. Even like C-3PO in Attack of the Clones, where you just had like one-liner after one-liner, and it's like, it's not really what he does. And, things outside of Star Wars. So I'm always afraid the comic relief is going to be way too heavy-handed, and it's just like, enough. But I think so far, I'm liking Neil's involvement.
They're not like overusing.
They're not overusing any aspect, which I think is a nice balance so far. I mean, we're only an hour in, but I have very good feelings about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see a behind the scenes on how it works for the actor. I haven't said any of the actors' names since Wim. Neil is played by Robert Timothy Smith. I have a feeling he's there on set with prosthetics on, and then they animate over the prosthetics.
I would think so.
But prosthetic acting, especially for a kid, that's got to be a lot to take on.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a mask, the fact that you're in this thing and you kind of can't be heard, and it's probably 1,000 degrees under there, and so I'm really excited. They do these gallery things. It's called when a season wraps up, where it's kind of like a quick documentary behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what his acting process was, what he was going through on set.
Cool.
Unless he just had like the pajamas on with the dots, and that makes it a little
Oh
easier
yeah,
for
that
him.
would make it easier.
But I do have a feeling because the way he moves, it's not like the body is moving and the head's different because the head's so much bigger than like a
yeah, I
normal
definitely
kid's
got the
head.
feeling he was also in some sort of suit. Or
Yeah, and then they just fix up with the snout and
yeah.
So I am curious about that, but I think the character's doing really good. Just to give them their props, KB is played by Kiriana Crater, and Fern is played by Ryan Kira Armstrong. I don't know any of these kids from anything else. I think
Keela might be snoring like right into
yeah,
the microphone.
sorry.
So
our fat dog is snoring into the microphone. I just realized it's there. I think Ravi was in Encanto, which was pretty good. That Pixar movie.
oh, I don't know if
I
I have seen very little
Okay.
of movies and TV.
So getting into probably the biggest or the most recognized name in the cast, Jude Law. His character name is Jod Nawood. Yep. Haven't seen a lot from him. I don't think it's much of a mystery. Like, I don't think we cracked the case, but I'm 99% sure he is the pirate leader from the beginning.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean,
you can even kind of hear his voice through the modulator.
So. And they have then they had like the Teen Wolf guy as like the other head of the pirate crew, and I don't know what they're doing with that guy.
Well, it kind of feels like, and I hate to make the comparison just because it's Disney and Disney, but in Pirates of the Caribbean, where Jack Sparrow was the captain of the Black Pearl, he kept screwing his people over promising, and then they'd lock him in the brig, and then he'd get out and somehow get the ship back.
Okay.
And maybe I'm just making that comparison because it's Disney, not necessarily it's going to go through those paces. But it definitely seems like
it's very much like a pirate kind of like
it's a trope,
movie.
For sure.
So
it seems like they did that big heist in the beginning. They found $1 essentially, and then they locked them up in that cell.
And they were not happy.
Yeah.
They were like, it's no bueno.
No, they want to make some money. Now they want the credits from the kids. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place. We should probably have better structure, but Jude Law, the mutiny, the heist. I don't know how much you realized it, but the opening sequence there was like almost a mirror of the original opening of the original movie, where the stormtroopers break in the door. Oh, you can play them. It was done intentionally. Okay,
I would not have.
Okay, I wasn't sure because it looks like they did it very. Even some of the dialogue lined up like in the original movie. They say if this is a counselor ship, where's the ambassador? And he says if this is a carrier ship, whatever the terminology they used was, the lines were very similar. It was adapted. Like they did it on purpose, which I thought was kind of a cool nod.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, small Easter egg. It's you didn't realize it, you didn't miss out. It was still a cool sequence. The other I just blanked. I had something else with Jude Law. Oh, the credits. As far as the credits are concerned, it kind of, I guess the big mystery is what is at Aden, the planet the kids are from, and when is it from?
Well, I think it's like the idea is basically like it's Atlantis.
Yes,
and not Paradise Island in the Bahamas.
Right. The lost city of Atlantis. I definitely have that vibe too, where if it was real, it would be this utopia with these advanced technologies and things like that. The fact that it looks very similar to Earth, I feel like that set a lot of people off before, and I didn't really understand having a problem with that. I mean, there's billions of people, creatures in this galaxy with thousands of planets.
Well,
like someone's going to put houses in
maybe
rows.
it's just like an artistic choice because they did it like with a little bit of the stuff that they did with like the school, how like it also seemed like their society was kind of like a little more like ours, right? Like the little things.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were maybe making a commentary a little bit.
A commentary, because we did talk about that too with like the test where it's kind of like a commentary in society where like you're telling your kid to stop dreaming, go get your job as an accountant. The dad's like,
stop reading.
Yeah, don't read books, do spreadsheets.
It's like, shouldn't you grow up and stop reading?
I mean, he did ask for a bedtime story where maybe the dad could have been like, why don't you read one to yourself? Which is also kind of a not great response to your kid, but
yeah, he was like just grow up, like you
talk to your kid for
and
10
he's like,
minutes.
Bye, good night, love you. It was so weird.
Yeah. The dad character strange. I was trying to give the dad, the actor, I forget that.
I'm sure, like, I feel bad because I'm obviously like
we're not actors. I know it's easy to sit here in our house.
It's quite rude to like comment on it, but
right.
But that was not even really like his like him delivering it poorly.
No, it's just weird dialogue. Like
It's
he's
just
almost
weird
attacking
dialogue.
the kid.
Yeah, he's being like really mean. He's like, all right, love you, bye.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that like maybe he's supposed to be wooden because this is big cover up, but I don't think he's part of whatever cover up is going on.
If anything, he's just like kind of, you know, I don't know, would the word be like stodgy or whatever? Like he's just a little like,
yeah,
because he's like a business.
I wonder if we're gonna get more background where the dad was always at work. He doesn't really know how to connect with his kid, and the mom was really involved, and now she's out of the picture, and maybe she'll even turn up later. Maybe she got off planet. You know, there might be a mystery there. I don't know how much time we're gonna spend on At-Aten, but that is the big mystery of the show.
Yeah, like what it is and
where, kind of like when did it get lost in time is my big question, because they keep saying they're doing, and this is going to be a little in the weeds for you because you like the movies, the shows enough, but you don't like, you're not reading the novels and the comics and trying to figure out every last angle. There was a whole big multimedia initiative called the High Republic that was 500 years before the prequel movies. It's when the Acolyte took place. It was in the era of the High Republic, even though that wasn't a great representation. Because it's called the High Republic. It's supposed to be the Republic's doing great. There's no open wars. The Jedi are peacekeepers. They're like kind of at their best, or supposed to be, and doing all these great things. Like everything's supposed to be going really well until there's this like outside kind of terrorist attack from like space Vikings, essentially. But everything's supposed to be rosy and good. And I'm thinking that's when At-Aten thinks it is. Because they had the credits, everything in their society is great. Like Star Wars always has this like lived in universe feel where science fiction of the time in the 70s was everyone in like silver jumpsuits and everything was pristine and clean and perfect. And George Lucas kind of didn't love that. He wanted it to feel like an existing world where people live. So everything's a little bit shabby. There's markings on things. Things have been used for a while. Oh, he's back. So Skeleton Crew, as I already wrote, this is a breath of fresh air. I didn't have any expectations from the series, and when I watched the first episode, it just took my breath away. Yes, I'm right there with you. It was just fun. If it's your first Star Wars thing ever, it's a good time.
Sure, yeah. And it's not too much like a kid's show either, because I think that was one of the fears that you had. For some reason, I think like something set you off and you're like, oh, maybe it's going to be like a little kid show. Like, not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
just that like, oh, it's going to be for like little kids, but it's definitely like
it's kid friendly. But that's also what Star Wars is supposed to be. George Lucas has always said Star Wars is for like 12 to 14-years. It's teaching whimsy, morality. It's black. It's the light side and the dark side. Like Darth Vader was not a good guy. Like it's very clear what's going on in these things. I blanked where we were. Oh, talking about the lived-in world. But on At-Aten, nothing had a paint scuff. Nothing was out of place. The lawns were perfectly manicured. There was no trash, and everything was perfect. And I think part of that is commentary, as you said. Part of it is it's more familiar to us. So when they get out into the adventure, it's different. You know, think if you are a 12-year-old kid watching this, you can now easily associate, oh, that looks like where I live. Now space pirates. It's totally different. For sure, yeah. Everything looks grimier when you come from there, which I thought was a cool touch. They pay with the credits that the kid, it was his lunch money. He didn't think anything of it. It's no big deal to him. And they said it was Old Republic credits, which for Star Wars fans who go deeper, there is an era called the Old Republic. And it's like thousands of years before the movies. Okay. I don't think they mean that Old Republic. I think they mean the Republic before the Empire. Just bouncing it off you, just what I'm thinking it is. I know you don't go as deep, but that to me, that's the big question, is when exactly do they think it is? Like, Wim is obsessed with finding Jedi and talking about Jedi, but he was also referring to them in the past tense. Because at first I thought, oh, maybe Wim thinks it is the High Republic and Jedi are just everywhere. I don't know if he knows about Order 66, because Order 66 saw most of them not only killed, but they were also kind of discredited to the point where people didn't really want to see them come back because they thought they tried to overthrow the government.
Or like maybe, I don't know, could just be that it's like, could it be that it's like just only stories for them or something? I don't know.
I mean, he definitely had the stories, obviously. He was reading the books, but he thought he found a temple, but I don't think it was in a way a kid thinks.
Oh yeah, he was like really obsessed with it. It reminded me of, remember in Mean Girls when, she keeps saying fetch, And then she's like, stop saying fetch. It's not going to happen. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. Like, that's what he just kept saying, like, Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
And they were like, stop.
Yeah, he
It's
just
not
so
a Jedi
badly
temple.
wanted it to be that. But yeah, he kind of had no indication to think it was. There was no Jedi emblem or anything on it.
But, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could be that it's, you know, maybe just, like, myths from their world or something. I don't know. Because wouldn't it just be that, like, their planet is supposedly a myth to everybody else?
Yeah. I kind of got the impression in his mind, and not just like like you could ask his dad, Jedi were real.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, like, in the age of the prequels, before they all got wiped out, I think the number was there was something like 10,000 Jedi, which sounds like a lot, but if you think of the Star Wars galaxy, where it's basically infinite with planets and societies and this and that, the chances of you encountering a Jedi were pretty slim. So maybe it's a thing that, like, yeah, we know it's a thing, but it just doesn't affect us at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's kind of another question that I had. And going along with that, the ship, when he finds it, it's in this ditch. It's buried. You feel like it's there for a really long time. But what if it's not? What if it made it through the barrier and crashed and they plowed over it because the droids were saying this is a restricted area?
Yeah, that's possible.
Maybe the whole thing was a cover-up.
Yeah.
It could just be a restricted area because you can't leave the streets. You know, maybe the kids aren't allowed in the woods at all, but just because the society is so locked down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah. How did you like the droid? SM-33.
Which, the
one they find on the ship with the one eye and he's got a little mouse thing living in his head.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I liked it. I like Nick Frost. He's really funny, and he's got a lot of geek credit, so that's cool.
Who is that?
Do you see, like, Shaun of the Dead?
I know, I've probably seen it before.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, they were like a duo for a while.
Like, Nick Frost is like not Simon Pegg, right?
He's the other guy in the duo. Yeah.
Okay.
Hot Fuzz.
I think I know who that is.
This is the end. No, not This is the end. End of the world.
Okay. I think I know who that is.
Yeah, he's good. He's been in a lot of stuff, but, like, he loves Star. Like, him and Simon Pegg became friends over Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. So having him be part of the universe now, I think, is really cool. I like the droid. I thought it was going to be more of a comic relief character because Nick Frost is a funny guy.
But he was, like, you know, John Wick level, like, coming in.
Yeah, collapsing people's rib cages and stuff.
Yeah.
I also like that now the kids have. It's not just kids figuring out how a spaceship works.
Right. They have something that,
He can do the heavy lifting for them, and they just kind of trick his brain into doing what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also liked. I liked that the girl became the captain, but it wasn't like, come on. It made sense enough for the show. The connection to the wider story, like the one pirate was obviously the pirate from The Mandalorian. Oh, okay. One of the pirates was one of the pirates in The Mandalorian who was chasing around. Remember there was the big green guy with, like, his beard.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He was not that guy, but one of the pirates under his command. But now that guy's dead, I guess he went and found a new crew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that might be the only connection to the other shows we get.
That would be fine with me.
It would be fine with me,
you
too.
don't have to, connect every.
Yeah, well, they did say it takes place around the same time, and it is all part of the same story, but it doesn't have to. They don't have to run into Din Djarin and Grogu for it to be connected. It can just be another story taking place.
Yeah.
Because I think my biggest fear going into the series was they find Ahsoka and Sabine in the other universe, and they're the ones who bring her back. I just feel like that's too much. And it goes too much into someone else's story where the kids should really have their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that, either one honestly would probably be.
There is a way where the writers could pull it off and they could make it good. I just felt like they should have their own thing. And not only that, but Ahsoka should be more in charge of her own destiny.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to say it's a big fear is making it sound a little, it's a little extreme, but I was a little bit off about that. He says he didn't expect the incredible pirates that take you back to your childhood. It was beautifully written dialogue and jokes. Yeah, I was really surprised at the amount of pirate we got. I thought the kids might run into them in open space at some point, but to have the pirate opening and then go to a pirate, but basically go to Tortuga to bring it back to Pirates of the Caribbean, to go to a pirate stronghold, which that's something else that I was watching a video from Star Wars Meg is a big channel. She does a lot of stuff. She posts videos every day. She brought up that actually has existed in Star Wars canon for over 30 years, which I thought was kind of cool. The pirate place they went to, the spaceport and the asteroid. I forget the name.
That's interesting.
I thought that was cool.
I would not have thought that. I guess I would have just thought that was a confection for this show.
Yeah, that's another. I like those nods where if you get it, great. If you don't, you miss nothing. You're not like, wait, what's going on now? I don't understand. It doesn't put you off. Children in whom you believe in and in whom you see in yourself. I hope that the series will keep the same bar as it was for the first two episodes. Yeah, I absolutely agree too. I feel like they set the bar really high. I have very good feelings that is the tone, and we're going to be sticking with it.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope they don't make it like a drastic change.
Yeah, I hope they keep the amount of varied aliens, the amount of like weird but funny that's going on, the amount of discovery. I hope the third episode is not just the kids walking around the ship, Wim saying the word Jedi a lot and them disagreeing and nothing really comes of it. Because these shows, and it's not just Star Wars, but the streaming shows are so abbreviated, but they still tend to waste time in some of them. And I don't understand how you're doing both.
Yeah.
And it's probably too much of a tangent because it's not just this series, it's not just Star Wars series, but it always seems like that with the streamers. And I think what it really is they're just trying to stretch the content to get you to pay for more than a month of membership.
It could be.
Yeah. You do 6
all,
episodes, you start at mid-month, you have to at least get 2. That's kind of what it feels like when they stretch it out like that. I also don't love 20-minute episodes.
No, I mean, I guess not. It depends on what they do with those 20 minutes. Like if they pack a lot of stuff into that 20 minutes, though.
This one didn't bother me as much because we got it right after a 40-minute episode, which I really think we got one episode with just a credit roll in between.
Although, let's be fair, if you're just going to do like 20-minute episodes, like however many, like how many was Acolyte? How many episodes?
I think 8.
So like if you only do like 8 20-minute episodes, it does kind of feel like you're like, eh.
Well, especially when you wait a week to watch it.
Right.
You wait a whole week and it's like,
but I don't
here's
think
22 minutes of content. It's like, well, come on.
I don't think that's like the plan. Is that
no, I don't think so. And
20 minutes.
I do like the freedom to kind of counter my own argument. I like the freedom, like in The Mandalorian season 1, the episode was as long as the story needed it to be.
Yeah.
I do like that, so you don't get all the filler.
That show was just like executed perfectly.
Yes. But I just feel like with the limited amount of episodes, there should be more content than 20 minutes worth.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't want to wait a whole week and you're just getting into the show and it's over. Hi, a buddy from New Zealand here. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Sunday morning for you. It's 6:30 Saturday night for us.
What time is it there?
Yeah, what time in the morning is it for you?
Yeah, I don't know how.
No, the episode counts always make me worried. And I know it's not what I should be thinking about because then when you rewatch them, it doesn't really matter. And there are some that should have just been a movie. Like we just rewatched the Obi-Wan series. I really like it. I love all the Obi-Wan and Anakin stuff. I can see people being a little bit annoyed with how much time we spent with Reva. I don't think she's a bad character. I just feel like it was the wrong place to introduce her.
I didn't have a problem with any of it at all. I just thought it was fine.
I think part of that is expectation versus reality, where you're watching the show and you're taking it in for what it is. Where I hear Obi-Wan series, I'm like, it's going to be Obi-Wan in every frame, and he's going to talk to Anakin, he's going to talk to Vader.
Yeah.
So that's not really the show's fault either. I was in Sydney for work. It's 11 a.m. on Sunday for him. Wow, that's quite the time difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. 10:30. Okay, close enough. The minutes don't really change. The hours do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went to Nepal last month, and we could not figure out exactly what the time difference was.
We were like, I don't know.
It was something like 9 or
like
10
9
hours.
or 10 hours. I don't know.
It seemed like it didn't quite matter what time it was in all of Nepal.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. Do you have anything else on Skeleton Crew? Do you have any idea where you might want to see it go?
Where I might want to see it go?
Yeah, I think it's cool to get the perspective where like I'm really deep into it and you're taking it as it comes. So we're going to have different outlooks on what might happen next.
Well, I mean, I think that it would almost kind of be cooler if they don't sort of like interweave all of the stories, but I know that kind of like puts you out of business. Like that's your whole like thing is trying to connect everything together, right? But
yes and no. It's still part of the
yeah,
Star Wars galaxy, and
sure.
Atten might have a big thing that has to do with the Empire or the New Republic or the High Republic or something that's a connection without the characters having to know the name Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that would be really cool because then it would just be like something like just totally like fresh and different and
Yeah,
that's
a new
fine.
direction. I
Okay.
do like that. Again, fear is too strong of a word, but I don't know what other word to use right now. The other thing is if Skeleton Crew is as successful as it seems like it's going to be, because the amount of bad you saw about the Acolyte is good for Skeleton Crew, which is great.
Like people like it. Like,
Yeah,
so far.
I've not seen anyone really trashing it. I was trying not to look because we didn't do this immediately, so I didn't want to be watching a ton of videos and then regurgitating what everyone else has already said. Even though I know I did reference it, but just trying to give credit where credit's due. The kids, because it's kind of the issue Stranger Things had, where it came out monster success. They weren't quite ready for how big it was, and the kids are aging faster than they can make the show. So that could be a thing here, where the kids are pretty young.
They are, yeah.
But if we just get one season, it's good. That's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, if they do one really great season of TV, that's
might be all you need.
That's fine. You know, it tells your story, and that's fine.
Oh, to reverse a little bit, do you think Jude Law's character is a Jedi?
I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Like the key thing did kind of seem a little bit like just like an invisible clothes wire.
It didn't quite move how we felt other things move in the Force. Like when Luke grabs his lightsaber the first time we see him do an Empire Strikes Back, it whips to his hand. They probably can control it.
I mean, who knows? But I think that would be, either or. Like it could be interesting if he's not and is like passing himself off as one for some reason. Could also be interesting if he is, because then whim would be like, oh, my sense of whimsy about the
he met a Jedi.
I really am like leaning on whimsy.
I'm in the camp that I do not think he's a Jedi.
Why? Just because it took him a really long time to get that key? Maybe
it just seems really convenient that this one kid, all he wants in his life is to be or meet a Jedi.
So he's like a con man. So he's doing that, like, who was the crossing over John Edwards guy? He's just kind of like
he's cold reading.
Yeah. I was like, okay, you want to see a Jedi? I can make that happen.
It feels like and this might be giving the Pirates too much credit, because it feels like they're playing 4D chess, where they're like 3 moves ahead of these kids, where Whim, all he wants to do is meet a Jedi, see a Jedi, he's reading books about Jedi. The Pirates want the money the kid is hiding, where they came from, and he just happens to meet a Jedi who says, take me with you. It seems like he's just after the money.
Yeah. It's also weird that they, like, I think you mentioned it. We kind of like both noticed it as we watched it the second time. It's like, why didn't they like pat these kids down? Like this kid is just like a giant kids, like sock full of cash.
They want the money from the kids. They lock the kids up and they don't think to take the money off of him.
Yeah.
They probably didn't think they had weapons or anything, but yeah, I'd still think, even though I don't know how he would have done the Force like that, because you saw like in the Obi-Wan series, with Kamal Nanjiani faking being a Jedi, he was using magnets and stuff, so it was pretty quick. He couldn't slow down the pull because it wouldn't have worked with the faking he was doing. So I don't know how he was faking it, but it's Star Wars. Any technology, you could just say like he did this. Like there's no set rule that he didn't have something. To play devil's advocate and kind of steelman that position, this is in a world where after Order 66 takes place around the same time the Mandalorian, all the Jedi are wiped out. He might have been on the run since then and joined up with pirates and just made a life as an outlaw because he lost his life at the Jedi Temple or wherever he would have been at the time. So if it does happen that he's a Jedi, I'm not totally against it, but I kind of like that there's more to Star Wars than Jedi and Sith, so let's tell those stories.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him not be a Jedi.
Okay. Yeah.
My kind of initial assumption was he's not a Jedi. He's going to fake it. The kids are going to find out. They're going to be mad at him. They're going to realize they kind of need each other and they've kind of bonded in their journey.
See, now you've watched too much TV, because that's probably exactly what's going to happen.
I do watch a lot of TV, but it's what we do.
That's what you do. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Well, we're doing a pop culture thing on YouTube. That's what we're talking about. But yes, just as a TV watcher, big time TV watcher,
feels like something.
It tracks very much where
it does.
He's only there for the money. He doesn't care about the kids. They get separated. They come back together. They need each other. They forgive him for lying. He forgives them for whatever.
Yep.
And in the end, he's still going to get paid, but you're not going to hate him for it because you're going to have warmed up to him by then.
Yep, that's probably exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just now we don't have to do any more of these. It's fine. Yeah.
And to tie it into the original trilogy, that was kind of Han Solo's arc. Han Solo did not care about the rebellion. He did not care about saving Leia.
Yeah.
He wanted the reward. He gets the reward, but he comes back, so you're not mad at him for it.
Yeah.
And one thing they don't touch on is like, so did you give that money back? Or it's like, no, I just spent it. Pillar Hut is asking, do you think we'll see any cameos? Not the ones that will take up a few seconds. Sorry about that. That's an air compressor. It'll be done in a second. I don't know how loud that is in the microphone.
They might not even really be able to hear it.
Yeah, it's possible we're pausing for no reason and you're confusing. Can you guys hear that? I built a box around it and everything, but it happens a couple times a day and I don't know what to do about it.
Thankfully, it's the only place you can really hear it. Is like right where we decided to do this.
Yeah, right where we're
in front
recording.
of it.
The room, I mean, you've seen it in my other videos. If you're watching my other videos, it's a Death Star themed room. So, of course, it has an air-powered door. So you get the nice whoosh and it opens and closes on its own. The downside to that is the air compressor refills a couple times a day, and it had to do it right in the mid-recording. So the question was, do you think we'll see any cameos? Not the ones that will take up a few seconds on the screen, but the ones that will significantly affect the plot. I think there will be cameos. I think there's going to be a lot of the little nods that you're saying you're not specifying, like, say, the pirate is connected to the Mandalorian show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Things that if you notice, it's a cool Easter egg for fans. If you don't notice, you just say, that's a pirate, and you move on with your life. I think there's going to be more of those. I tend to think that there's not going to be a big one. I don't think we're going to see the Mandalorian. I don't think we're going to see Ahsoka. Maybe at most we'll get one of the crew of from Star Wars Rebels, now that they brought them into live action. Hera, the green-skinned Twi'lek, who was in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
She had a whole crew around her, like Ezra, who they save, and he came back to the main universe.
Mm-hmm.
There was the purple alien in the bar in The Mandalorian. It was kind of the only character that stood out as being a little too CG.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, basically a cameo, but those were all from Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest cameo we might get because we know they're going to interact with the New Republic at a point. They have to.
Okay.
It also could be, I don't know the character's name. The actor is Sun something. The older Asian guy who was kind of like friends with the Mandalorian is kind of his contact into the New Republic. The X-Wing pilot.
Okay, yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forget the actor's name. I forget the character's name, but it's my guess is the cameo is going to be something along those lines. Someone from the Ghost or possibly that guy, because that guy seems to be kind of the glue holding it all together.
Yeah.
They were doing sweeps looking for Ahsoka. He almost arrested the Mandalorian, is kind of giving the Mandalorian jobs, which is probably going to be how he gets brought back into the fight in the Mando Grogu movie. So if I had to put money on it, my guess would be that guy. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason for them to bring back de-aged Luke Skywalker or anything like that. It just wouldn't. I don't see how it would fit the story. I mean, we don't know the story, so it's possible, but
yeah, I don't.
I feel like they're setting up enough that they have their own things to do.
I think so too. Like it really feels like it's centered.
Like they're going to have to
around
address what
kids.
At-Atten is. Why do people think
For
it's a
sure,
myth?
right? Like they can't just be like, oh, forget about that.
Yeah.
We're in space now.
I also don't want to spend too much time with Wim's dad, so I hope the At-Atten mystery is resolved by the kids.
Hold on. Shots fired. Shots fired at Wim's dad. But no, neither do I.
He's saying it. I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce your name. Tahuara, Tahuaroa.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I'm gonna let you mispronounce it.
He's saying it feels like a Christmas present from Star Wars and Disney, and I love it. And that reminds me, all my notes are on the computer whose camera we're unfortunately using because my camera just was not cooperating. The weird circus thing that that Neil's siblings were watching.
Okay.
That is
Cirque du Soleil.
It's not the first joke you made about it. The other one rhymed, and we'll leave that to your imagination.
Cirque du Soleil.
That is possibly the biggest Easter egg in the show. That is from the Star Wars Holiday Special. She's not seen any of the Star Wars Holiday Special. I think maybe I showed you a clip or two of how bad it really was.
Remember this terrible thing that we did?
Yes. They seem to really like bringing pieces of that into the canon, and famously, George Lucas hates the Holiday Special. I read a quote one time that he said if he could, he would destroy each copy of it personally with a hammer.
So they just took a piece of it and they're like,
they had to recreate it. They had to recreate it. And they had a hard time recreating it because George Lucas had so much of the original content destroyed because he wanted no memory of it, that they found some drawings of the original costumes and they had to recreate it. And they actually did use Cirque du Soleil performers. I don't know why. They didn't really do anything special. But they actually used some actual performers in these costumes to recreate that from the Holiday Special.
Wow.
It's a fun Easter egg.
It is. It is.
Because it's like one of those things in Star Wars that everyone agrees is terrible, but they love it because it's terrible.
Well, now I want to see it, though. I do. I really do. I want to see it.
We'll have to find bits. I don't know if a full, clean copy exists anywhere, but you can find a lot of clips on YouTube. They're all pirated, of course. It aired one time. I think it was on ABC, and he never let it see the light of day again. It never came out on VHS or obviously not DVD or anything. We'll have to watch bits of it. It's atrocious. Pillar Hut. I need more Thrawn, but not in Skeleton Crew. That would be too crazy. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I really like Thrawn. I want people who only watch the live action stuff to see what Thrawn can really do, because so far he just says acceptable losses when Ahsoka messes up his troops. The original plan, as far as I understand it, for all of these Star Wars live action shows in what they're calling the Mandoverse, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Gina Carano should be in there. Timothy Olyphant's character, all these characters that the Mandalorian universe is introducing, plus now the Star Wars Rebels crew, were supposed to get together. He's saying to stream a watch party, the holiday special. That way we can all suffer together. I will do my best to find an intact version, and we'll do something for sure. At least get some of her reactions, because she's already laughing about it and hasn't even seen it.
Oh, well, I mean, that one piece of it was
horrible.
Terrible.
Yeah. I remember early on in the holiday special, they're on Kashyyyk with Chewbacca's family, and his dad puts on this weird VR set and watches, I forget the singer's name, singer from the 70s, do a whole performance, the whole thing. It's not edited, it's not cut, it's not forward. She just sings a song in a spangly outfit, and then all the dialogue with the Wookiees doesn't have subtitles.
Oh, I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
It's bad.
Sounds great.
What were we talking about before? Oh, Thrawn. Yeah, all these Mandalorian universe characters were supposed to team up in the end to take on Thrawn, and I'm hoping that's what the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is ultimately going to be. Which I think we need Ahsoka season 2 before that happens, if that is what they're doing, because she has to definitely be part of it. Mm-hmm. Unless it happens in the movie, but it would be kind of crazy for all that to have to go down in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Thrawn at all? Because you did watch Rebels, so you have,
guy, right?
Yeah, the blue guy. He is okay. So no thoughts on Thrawn. He is the blue guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, you like the Mandalorian a lot, so would you want to see him do something that big, or do you like the Mandalorian where it's more like Adventure of the Week?
Adventure of the Week.
Yeah,
I like that
because he is getting a movie, so it's probably going to be something bigger.
Yeah. I just like what they did because, again, that kind of felt like, I don't know, like something that you would, I don't know, like watch on TV when you were a kid when you got home from school. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of felt like that. That's what I liked about it. It doesn't have to get too crazy, you know?
Right. And now bringing up the same point all the time, but that's what makes it feel like Star Wars. Star Wars is supposed to be these throwback cheesy serials that used to play before the movie you went to pay to see. It was supposed to be this episodic, crazy storytelling, and The Mandalorian, especially the first season, really had that nailed down.
Yeah, for sure.
Thrawn, the human-sized Smurf without a hat.
Yeah.
I suppose so. The blue guy. I want to see more of his Death Troopers. That was cool with the gold in their armor, like all raggedy because they've been out in the middle of nowhere for 10 years.
Yeah. I don't really remember a lot of this.
Yeah, you didn't love Ahsoka, the series.
Well, I'm not going to go as far as to say I did not love it, but I will say I thought it was good. Thought it was fine.
I liked it a lot.
But again, I'm like kind of your outsider perspective because.
But that's what I think is interesting about this, where we get both perspectives.
Yeah,
not
like
both. Like you dislike it, but you're just not all in. Like you like it for what it is, and you kind of move on.
I'm just looking at it as like a show that I'm watching, not like
Yeah. It is kind of funny because one of the reasons why I started the channel was because I was always just talking about Star Wars and thinking about Star Wars, and you're like, yeah, and like you never tell me to shut up, but at the same time, I know it's not like the topic of conversation you want all the time. And here you are on our first live stream talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's a good show to start on because it's one that I can see you being into this show.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's just crazy about Thrawn. He's read all 6 of the new books about him, and he's already very interested in what will happen next to them. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. This might be the end of Thrawn when they all take him on.
Oh, yeah. Bring him back just to get rid of him.
Yeah, but he's had a lot of books. He's been a character around forever. He was.
But if the actor, because that I feel like it's kind of coming back to me. Like he has kind of like a relaxing voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's.
I feel like if the actor does like a good enough job, they might give him like some kind of like backstory type movie, right?
Yeah, he has a lot of backstory. Thrawn's an interesting character. He was, before Disney bought it, there was the Star Wars movies George Lucas made, and that was what was the official Star Wars, and that was it. His 6 movies plus the Clone Wars cartoon. He gave his blessing for people to go out there and tell their own stories within the parameters of his universe, and that was called the Expanded Universe. That was all the books and comics and the craziness that happened there. And a lot of it, like the long-term Star Wars fans like me, like the people watching this now, that was our Star Wars. Where like for me growing up, there was no new Star Wars movies for the bulk of my childhood until they did episode 1. And for a long time, we thought that would never happen. It's not like we were anticipating it for a long time. So that's what we had. And Thrawn was part of that expanded universe. When Disney bought it, they said all that was Star Wars Legends. Like it doesn't kind of count in the main thread of continuity. And their reasoning for that was we want a clean slate so we can tell our own stories without stepping on lore. And even within the expanded universe, there was contradictions and inconsistencies. Not a ton. The people did a very, very good job for it kind of being unofficial, but they were there. So I understand that point. I don't think they've done a good job following through on establishing their new thing. It's been very spotty. But Thrawn was one of the few things that got brought back in, and even better, when they were bringing him back in, they went to Timothy Zahn, who was the author who first created the character in the books, and wanted him to do new Thrawn books. So Thrawn is very much the same with stories told from the same creator. And I've gotten a lot of comments on my channel on things where people saying they got rid of it because they don't want to pay people royalties, or now they have to pay Timothy. When you write for something like Star Wars, if they hired me to write a Star Wars thing tomorrow and I made a new character, even if people loved him, hated him, whatever, there are no royalties. Oh, the thing's not even plugged in. There are no royalties involved. They own
the thing
that.
Isn't even plugged in.
Yeah, the surface isn't plugged in. It's flying. So that's not a concern. I guess that was kind of a tangent, but I've heard the royalty things a lot, so I wanted to clear that up. I even talked to Timothy Zahn personally at a convention I went to about being brought back in. And he said, yes, it was very nice of them to ask me my opinion. They did not have to do that. They own the character.
Oh, wow.
So it's cool that he has such a long history. So if they bring him back just to end him, I'm okay with that in a way. It's not that I want to see the character over. I think the actor's doing a good job. And another cool tidbit there is the guy who did the voice in the Star Wars Rebels is the same guy who's doing Thrawn in live action. the actor and the voice.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I really like.
Yeah.
1 second, I have to plug this in.
Oh no.
Sorry, everybody. We had to redo everything with the cameras not working and all that. The dog's very nervous.
I know you're nervous for no reason at all.
I'm waiting for the 13-inch figure of Enoch, that gold-faced stormtrooper. It looks so good. And Pillar Hut says, sorry to digress from Skeleton Crew. Just broke out. Long live the Empire, huh? Yeah, it's okay. We're free-forming it. This is a lot less formal. Usually my videos are all very scripted and rigid because I'm not great in front of a camera.
You sound like a newscaster down here.
I try to only record when she's not home because I'm embarrassed to do it.
Well...
don't worry about digressions. That's what we're here for. We'll digress all the time. Tahura, did you see the Hot Toys coming out of Enoch? I don't think it's it's the 1/6 scale, so I don't think it's quite 13 inches. Would you say those ones I have upstairs are 13? It might be close.
I mean, it might be, right? Because like,
yeah, they might be pretty. Actually,
like
you're right. They might be about 13 inches.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the Hot Toys one, yeah, it looks amazing. Enoch was the one stormtrooper who had the special like Roman style faceplate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, he stood it. Yeah, you only watched the show as it aired, so
Yes. Yeah.
But it's about an hour, and I don't think I have anything left on Skeleton Crew. I took a bunch of notes because we rewatched it today, but we have to use the computer for that now. Next week, we're going to do the same time. We're going to do this at least through Skeleton Crew and see if we do more live. I mean, I'll do lives at some point after, but it might be a different schedule. We'll have to see how the holiday season and everything goes.
Yeah.
But we will be doing this Saturday at this time, at least for the Skeleton Crew. And in between now and then, I will have a better microphone set up, and I'll get the cameras working.
You have to have my soundboard.
I will work on getting you a soundboard so you're not just blaring out everyone's ears through your phone.
Okay.
The soundboard is going to have one sound effect, apparently.
Well, that's the only one that's on here. But yeah, we got to have our soundboard. We got to have...
I'm more concerned with microphones and camera, but we'll get it all figured out. I do appreciate you guys for joining the conversation. That was really cool. I kind of figured we'd have 0 people for the first one.
Or that I'd drive people away with my sound effects.
No, I think people want to see it more real.
Yeah, or like they hopefully don't mind having an outsider kind of perspective.
I think it's a good thing. I know, again, to bring it back to the Acolyte, which I don't want to keep bringing up because a lot of people just were not happy with it. And I do see their complaints. I don't think you need to vilify everyone involved, even though some of them vilified themselves, but that's a whole other tangent we don't have to do. I like the perspective of lifelong fan, casual fan. Because you might see things from a perspective that I'm not seeing, and then I can give you some background that maybe you don't care, maybe it's not important, or maybe you're like, oh, I wouldn't have caught that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And there's no point having some of the perspective of they hate it because they just don't watch it. Like, well, why?
You're just going to have an hour-long argument every week with someone.
Oh, he's asking when the next live, he was going to ask when the next live stream is the best part of 12 Days of Christmas. Yeah, we're going to keep doing every Saturday. Originally, I had said Sunday, but Saturdays just work out better for us. Yeah. I get to work from home, luckily, but she has to go into the office half the time. So Mondays is an office day. So it's just better for us for Saturday evenings. And 6 p.m. East Coast, it is 3 p.m. on the West Coast, which that kind of sucks for them on a Saturday, but we also can't really do 10 o'clock at night. Us,
we could probably push it later on a Saturday. If it kind of depends on what you're.
But we're also big UFC fans, so if there's a fight night, it usually starts around 8 p.m. So this way we can do both. That's true. I mean, if everyone resoundingly says they want 10 p.m., I'm going to accommodate, and we'll figure that out. But I think 6 p.m. was a good time. I appreciate you guys coming. Very little merch reaches us, and if it does come, then a very high price. We don't even have Disney Plus. Oh, that's rough.
That sucks.
Are you watching it? Well, I guess you might not want to say how you're watching it if it's a VPN or just straight up pirate or whatever. That does suck.
That really sucks.
I know the merch thing is tough because international shipping in like the last 4 years has like tripled. It got crazy. Yeah. I know even just to send stuff to Canada, where we live, we're 2.5 hours from the Canadian border. I have an aunt who lives in Canada. For me to ship something to her, it's almost cheaper for me to take a day off from work and drive it to her. Yeah. It's outrageous. So that sucks, Pillar. I'm glad you get to see the stuff, and I'm glad it brings you a little bit of enjoyment. You know, like we were saying before, definitely stay safe out there. The news coverage we get is not a good picture of what's going on internationally.
I think so.
Yeah. But again, thank you. It was our first one, so sorry about the rockiness. Sorry if the dog snored into the microphone the whole time. That might just be something you have to get used to.
She's an adorable puppy, and everyone loves her.
We can't even close them out. They're so dependent on us with the work from home and everything that they do not like being separated, especially if they know we're home. The other one's just laying behind the couch. So I thought you would see cats too, but they stayed away this time.
Yeah.
But again, thank you. Now I'm just repeating myself a lot,
Yes,
so I guess we're going to
you.
sign off. Any feedback, much appreciated. Anything you want us to talk about next time, drop it in the comments, and we'll make sure we do it. So everyone, have a good night or good morning in Australia. Oh, thank you. He said best debut live stream. That is very kind. Thank you. I
know, Keela.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Keela, you were an integral part. You did a good job.